Chapter 1. The perfect cup of coffee is a mystifying thing. To many of my customers, the entire process seems like some sort of alchemy they dare not try at home. If the beans are Robusta rather than Arabica, the roasting time too long or too short, the filtering water too hot or cold, the grinds too finely or coarsely milled, the brew allowed to sit too long, any of it can harm the end product. Vigilance is what gets you that perfect cup. Vigilance and stubbornness in protecting the quality. As the 1902 Coffee Almanac put it, when coffee is bad, it is the wickedest thing in town. When good, the most glorious. Of course, seeking that perfect cup of coffee is not without risk. For instance, after you've found it and then gotten yourself addicted to drinking it, you've made yourself vulnerable. Because on those rare mornings when you are prevented from getting it, well, to put it as indelicately as my ex-husband might, you're screwed. I was in that very position the morning I had found Annabelle's body. Trapped behind the wheel of my 10-year-old Honda, I'd been in traffic for, about 3 months, and my one little espresso at 6 a.m. had worn off hours ago. With the freeway rest stops offering their standard range of brews, from weak as warm dishwater to bitterly burnt, I began to practice a sort of Zen caffeine visualization exercise, all the way across Jersey through the Lincoln Tunnel and into the streets of Midtown Manhattan. I imagined the Village Blend cup floating in front of my windshield, the earthly liquid inside mellow and warm, yet rich and satisfying, tendrils of pearl-colored steam curling into the clouds. Son of a gun! A taxi swerved into my lane, cutting me off to pick up a fare. I slammed the brake pedal and my bumper stopped so close to the cab's passenger door, I thought the per mile printed there would end up tattooed to my forehead. I honked. The perturbed cab driver cursed, and the Brooks Brothers suit climbed to his hired yellowed box on wheels. With the door slammed, we were off again, half a block at a standstill. Great. Just great. In a jarring instant, the real world had snatched away my perfect cup. Seconds later, I knew how Shackleton felt trying to sail through icebergs. 495 at least had been moving. This parking lot, purporting to be the route between Midtown and the West Village, was driving me to homicide. To top it off, a feeling of desperation hung in the chilly Thursday air. The early morning clouds were back, and the commuters were rushing toward their tall office buildings and storefront shops before the heavy September skies opened up on them. Thank goodness I'm almost there. Last night was literally my last night at my Jersey house. After only a few weeks on the market, the suburban 3-bedroom ranch with front and lawn and back garden had sold to a young married couple up from the Upper West Side, whose moving van was pulling up as I was pulling out. I donated most of my functional, albeit style-free IKEA furniture to Goodwill, along with the very last of my 80s shoulder pads. Now the bulk of my things was either in storage or I'd moved to the city already. This morning, I packed my remaining items, grabbed my cat Java, and didn't look back. The feline now sat aloofly in her pink pet love cat carrier, licking her coffee bean-colored paw, utterly indifferent to the desperately stressed state of her owner. Well, at least one of us is having a good trip. When I finally neared the Village Blend Coffee House and the duplex department above it, I saw only one space available just off Hudson. With a few hosannas, I slid into it. Finally, some vehicular luck. Okay, so it was near a hydrant, but it wasn't that close, really, and I wasn't going to be long. After unpacking my car, I intended to move it to the nearby garage where I had rented a monthly space. Grabbing Java's carrier, I headed for the consciously non-commercial front of the red brick coffee house, ready to check in with Annabelle, who'd be serving the morning crush, and definitely more than ready to savor a cup of the Village Blend's Heavenly House blend before beginning my unloading. As I neared the 12-foot-tall arched front windows, I saw the lights inside were on, but the place was empty. Empty. No customers, not one. Inconceivable, I thought. As bad as the previous manager had been, in 6 months he actually eroded the customer base by almost 50%. The blend had always seen plenty of morning business. I tried the door, locked, and the closed sign was in the window. What the hell is going on? It was almost 9, and the blend was supposed to be taking this bakery delivery at 5:30 and to be open to customers by 6. That meant we already lost the rush hour regulars, the satay and satayad people, the assets bank office workers, the Berkeley publishing people, and the NYU crowd. If I didn't get the place open soon, we'd even lose the neighborhood regulars who often grabbed a mid-morning cut before heading up or downtown on business. And Annabelle Hart had been so trustworthy since I'd come back to managing the blend a month ago. Don't worry, Claire, I'll take care of everything. Those were her last words to me before she volunteered to book. Closed the coffee house last night and opened it again this morning. With no one else available to cover for me, it was the only way I could complete my move from Jersey. I'd even promised her a nice bonus in her next paycheck. Annabelle was one of my best workers. Once I corrected the bad training she received in making her espressos too fast, yes, too fast, but I'll get to that later. She became my top employee, not so much for her barista skills, although those were vital to the blend's reputation, but because I could trust her. One thing you learn in this business, character can't be taught. You're reliable or you're not. You do what you say you're going to or you don't. Annabelle had character. She never bugged out on a shift or made an excuse to leave early. She was there when I needed her, didn't neglect or abuse the customers, and deftly handled any abuse flung at her or the staff. This was, after all, retail. Abuse was a given. It was also New York City, land of the chronically dissatisfied. Short of a Wonder Woman cape, you had to possess a special kind of character to resist bouncing back double-fold what came at you, to magically dissipate all hostility into the atmosphere. Part of my most-timers were naive college students, barely beyond adolescence, meaning hostility was handled with the most juvenile of boomerang reactions. This was why I needed assistant managers with the aforementioned special character traits. Annabelle was the same age as my college student part-timers, and she displayed a much more advanced maturity level. An incident just a week before proved it. An emaciated advertising executive in an Anne Klein suit and a near-permanent expression of displeasure on her thin, pallid face ordered a caffè cannella, Italian for cinnamon coffee. We were very busy, and Maxwell, one of our part-time baristas, presented it and then turned to continue making the drinks. "Hey you," the woman called to Max. "What, you've ruined my drink with too much cinnamon." "Lady, it's the way we always make it. You're an idiot." "Who are you calling an idiot, you stupid—" "Ma'am, let me fix the problem," Annabelle said, gliding in with the grace of a gull to retrieve the offending drink. I had been going over schedules in the corner and watched the entire save with admiration. 2 seconds flat, Annabelle had inserted herself between the angry young woman and the overwrought businesswoman, soothing ruffled feathers with apologies, chatting about not liking too much cinnamon herself, and getting a new drink made to her to sweet. She even placed a cinnamon shaker next to the cup to allow the woman to sprinkle as much or as little as she preferred. "Remember, garbage flows downhill," I told Annabelle during the first week I reclaimed my position as manager of the blend, and a percentage of the population in this town comes out of its offices, shops, hospitals, and homes looking for the first excuse to dump a portion of it directly on our heads. "Don't worry, Claire," she answered. "If there's anything I've had plenty of experience with it, it's handling garbage." I never asked why or how she'd gained that experience. I just knew she was my saving angel, someone I'd come to rely on during my first month getting the blend back on its feet. In fact, I had just promoted her from barista to assistant manager. After fishing through my shoulder bag for the key, I unlocked the shop's glass front door and cursed like that cabbie who almost killed me on North Avenue. There was no sign that Annabelle or anyone else was even getting ready to open up. Not even the scent of brewing coffee, and the sound system was silent. Not one classical note in the air. I sighed with the sort of profound disappointment you usually reserve for your child. "Oh, Annabelle," I sing-songed. Much the same way I used to scold my daughter. "You're blowing your bonus." I set Java's carrier down, straight across the gleaming, freshly waxed wood plank floor, which, under the previous manager, Moffat Flast, had been allowed to deteriorate into a scuffed, grimy mess. I stepped past the refrigerated display of cold beverages, Pina Pellegrino, Evian, and imported ginger, lemon, and orange-flavored Italian sodas that I made Madame, the blend's owner, buy when I'd first managed the blend for her 10 years before, and when I had added 10% of the usual gross sales. I walked the length of the rubbery colored marble coffee bar, then stopped, appalled at the pastry display. The shelves of the 6-foot-long glass case should have been jammed with warm croissants, muffins, bagels, doughy cinnamon rolls, and fresh baked strudels. The afternoon delivery would have a different mix of goods: biscotti, tarts, cookies European-style, pastries, and miniature bundt cakes, but never ever was it supposed to be empty as it was now. I moved from the main room into the back foyer, which amounted to a square of wood floor with a supply pantry on the left, to the service staircase to the right, and to the back door dead in front of me. The door was unchained, yet still bolted, and the area was dark. I stepped in something slippery and flailed a bit, nearly tripping over a large object. Flipping on the light, I saw that one of the stainless steel undercounted garbage cans had been moved to the top of the service staircase that led to the basement. No reason for this, I thought instantly. Why would Annabelle have moved the heavy can when she could have easily pulled out the plastic bag lining and taken it to the shop's outside dumpster? The can's lid was nowhere in sight, and black coffee grounds were flowing over the top across the wood floor and down the top few steps. "Annabelle, I'm going to kill you!" I cried, frowning at the mess. Then I glanced down the stairway and gasped. It looked like someone had beaten me to it.